Welcome back to For Love and Justice. Today we're talking about billion-dollar jets, billion-page bills, and about a billion bad decisions, with a dash of June Gemini chaos and cucumber safety. Let's get into the BS you might have missed this week. But first, I'm going to remind you guys, please like and subscribe. This helps with the algorithm, helps get my videos and episodes out there. So please do me a favor and hit like and subscribe, please and thank you.
Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight.
Okay, I've got a lot for y'all today. It's going to be kind of a wild ride, so buckle up and let's get into it. So first up, we have the big, beautiful bullshit bill. We're going to get into everything that's in the bill, but I just want to point out that every Arkansas representative voted yes for this bill. Marjorie Taylor Greene voted yes and now regrets it, and even Elon is calling it, quote, an abomination. It's basically Robin Hood in reverse. It's stealing from the poor to give to the yacht owners. So what all is in this bill? So there's major tax policy changes. So first up, there's the extension of the 2017 tax cuts, which permanently extends individual and corporate tax cuts from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act enacted by President Trump in his first term. There's also a child tax credit, which increases the credit to $2,500 through 2028, then reverts to $2,000. There's new deductions for tips and overtime pay. SALT deduction cap raises the state and local tax deduction cap to $40,000 for taxpayers earning less than $500,000. And then there are literally MAGA savings accounts. It stands for Money Accounts for Growth and Investment, which will provide $1,000 per child, which will really, $1,000 will really go really far with how expensive it is to have a child. Heavy on the sarcasm. A 5% tax on remittances will be sent abroad. The debt ceiling will be raised by $4 trillion. There will be an increased tax on private university endowments. And the Treasury Department will revoke tax-exempt status for nonprofits deemed to support terrorism. So anyone who doesn't go along with what the federal government sees as the one true stance, if you go against that, you're supporting terrorism. You support Palestine's freedom, you are supporting terrorism. Healthcare reforms, Medicaid work requirements are being implemented for Medicaid recipients. There will be higher fees and stricter eligibility verification for Medicaid beneficiaries above the poverty line. There will be a gender-affirming care ban starting in 2027. It will prohibit Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming care. There's also abortion funding restrictions. So this would ban Medicaid funding for nonprofits that provide abortion services like Planned Parenthood. Medicaid access is also being restricted for undocumented immigrants. And pharmacy benefit manager regulations ban the use of spread pricing by pharmacy benefit managers. As far as education policy adjustments, there have been increases to the eligibility requirements for Pell Grants. Workforce Pell Grants are being introduced and are being targeted at trade school students. Student loan changes. So subsidized federal student loans for undergraduates have been eliminated. And as far as regulating the department's authority, this bill removes the Secretary of Education's ability to regulate based on gainful employment outcomes. And then the meat of it, right? We're going to up the defense and border security funding. So this bill allocates an additional $150 billion focusing on unmanned systems like drones and underwater vehicles. There will also be $70 billion for border security, including $46.5 billion for border barriers, $5 billion for customs and border protections facility improvements, $4.1 billion to hire additional border patrol and CBP officers, $2.7 billion for enhanced border surveillance, $2 billion for CBP staff, and $1 billion for inspection technology. And this bill also aims to increase the capacity to deport up to 1 million individuals annually. Also, fun fact, the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, estimates that the bill would add $2.4 trillion to the national debt over a decade, primarily due to reduced revenues from tax cuts and increased spending in certain areas. And another fun little fact for you, a new study found that Medicaid coverage reduces death risk by 21%. So why are we gutting it? But as Republican Senator Joni Ernst has now famously said, everyone is going to die. Now moving on to some major judicial wins. So a judge blocked Trump's order to eliminate the Department of Education, which is amazing, but scary that we're even here in the first place. And in Oklahoma, the Supreme Court blocked the first religious charter school, which is a big win for those of us who believe in separation of church and state, which should be everyone if you believe in our Constitution. Big reminder here that religious freedom includes freedom from religion. A growing number of Americans are not religious, and that is a protected freedom. And in dystopian news, a brain-dead woman in Georgia is being kept alive to gestate a pregnancy under the state's strict draconian abortion laws. And as if that's not bleak enough, Trump has also rolled back hospital emergency abortion requirements. So after Roe v. Wade was overturned, President Biden put into place requirements for hospitals to conduct life-saving abortions in the case of a life-saving emergency. That is no more. Hospitals do not have to save the lives of pregnant women. Instead, they are prioritizing fetuses. So freedom apparently only applies to fetuses and billionaires. I'm also going to include some resources for reproductive justice in the show notes. So all hope is not lost. There are still plenty of organizations that you can support. Moving on to a little corruption. So Trump accepted a $400 million jet from Qatar. Qatar, I'm not sure how you say it. I've heard it said both ways. The jet, after Trump is done with it, after he's not president anymore, it will then reside at his future presidential library, making it the most expensive gift for the most unqualified president. No other president will get to use this jet, only Trump. And then it will just sit there. So let's be real, this isn't just about ego. It's a preview of what selling off democracy to the highest bidder looks like. And also remember, the same people backing this are also cheering on Arkansas for keeping voter turnout low. The Heritage Foundation recently praised Arkansas for their low voter turnout. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing a victory lap, gloating about how proud the Heritage Foundation is of Arkansas. I would like to remind everyone that the Heritage Foundation is behind Project 2025. They are the architects, they are the authors, and they are also being appointed in Trump's administration, and they're calling the shots. Project 2025 is happening. It is among us. Voter suppression is not a glitch, it is the strategy. Now we know that there have been cuts in regulating food safety. It is now in our hands to make sure what we eat isn't going to kill us because the government is no longer going to tell us. So I'm here to let y'all know there's been a salmonella outbreak from cucumbers and tomatoes. Because of course there is. Just add it to the list of things the government won't regulate but expects you to navigate. So this is your reminder that growing your own food, if you can, isn't just crunchy granola vibes. It's rebellion, it's resilience, it's radical. Grow that shit, y'all. I actually recently just got some tomato plants and some cucumbers and some green bell peppers and some basil and some cilantro, and I'm growing it in my backyard now, and it's fun, and I highly recommend if you have the resources, if you have the time, grow that shit yourself. Walmart is nasty, allegedly. And then we are now in the month of June, which is Gemini season, and it's also Trump's birthday on June 14th. Which, of course, he's a Gemini. He's chaotic, he's two-faced, and he's in love with a microphone. So June 14th, lots of protests are going on all around the country. Mark your calendar, grab a poster, show up for Trump's birthday and show out. Okay, and then other headlines you might have missed because there's so much crazy shit going on. A trans man in South Carolina was arrested for using the bathroom Republicans told him he had to use. Because cruelty is the point. I will link this in the show notes so you can read more about it. It's an insane story. And then Jonathan Joss, voice actor and advocate, was murdered outside of his home in what's being investigated as a hate crime, but not being reported by the media as a hate crime, which is a damn shame, because plain and simple, that's what it was. So we mourn, we rage, and we support Native justice organizations, which I'm going to link in the show notes. And then the median age of a first-time home buyer is now 56, which is up from 31, proving that homeownership isn't just unattainable for younger generations, it's also weaponized to shame us for not being able to just work harder. You know, stop buying the avocado toast, stop buying the sweet coffees, and you'll be able to afford a home too. Not in this economy. In happier news, Megan Thee Stallion is releasing her own anime on Prime, which is a little light in the chaos. Black women in nerd culture are building joyful worlds, and I'm here for every second of it. Okay, guys, that's the show. This week was exhausting and raging, but not completely hopeless. I invite you all to support the organizations I'm going to link in the show notes. Show up to the protest June 14th. Tell Trump, give him a big happy birthday. And share this episode with your friends so they are in the know about what's going on too. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and maybe don't eat the cucumbers.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.